Hi, I'm Teja Gerken with Peghead Nation, and I'm here with the latest update to Taylor's 400 series. Those of us who've been around Taylor guitars for a long time remember when the line first came out. I think it was in 1991. At the time, it was a new entry point into the Taylor line. The 400 series sort of revolutionized what people thought of as being a relatively affordable American-made guitar made from all solid woods, and all the other manufacturers basically had to come up with something similar to it. Like many things, the 400 series has evolved considerably over the years, and this latest batch of them really shows how far the line has come from what was an entry level into Taylor's line to what really could easily be mistaken for a mid or high level Taylor. So as you can tell right away, one of the big news for this year's 400 series is that they are now finished in a sunburst finish, and that's very attractive. Taylor seems to be on a sunburst roll, so to speak. We just saw the new American Dream guitars with the sunburst finishes coming out, and these really match nicely into that line. Two of the guitars, the 414 CE that I'm holding and the Grand Concert Size 412 CE, are essentially similar to the earlier version of these guitars, which was the 414 CER and the 412 CER, and we have demos of both of those guitars here on Peghead Nation that you can check out. Other than the finish and some detail work, those are very similar guitars. The big news is that Taylor has now added a Grand Pacific size guitar to the 400 series, and that is the 417E that's over here on my side, and that is significant because it's the first time that the Grand Pacific has been offered in the 400 series, and because of that I'm going to dedicate a separate demo to just that guitar in the very near future. Right now I want to talk about these three guitars and as they relate to each other. So while these three guitars, of course, differ in their body styles, and in the case of the Grand Concert size guitar, also the scale length, the Grand Concert has a shorter scale. These guitars, of course, share the material choices and typical appointments that are part of the 400 series. These guitars have Sitka spruce tops. All of these are very nice looking tops. Indian rosewood back and sides, and that is now standard for the 400 series. In the past, if you had a 400 with rosewood, it had an R as part of the model name. 400s have used different kinds of woods over the years. Now rosewood is standard, and that really brings them very close to what I tend to still think about as an 800 series guitar. And these guitars really come as close to those as any 400 that I've ever seen. So to me, that's a very interesting aspect of these. So Indian rosewood back and side, Sitka spruce top, ebony bridge and fingerboard. There's a new inlay design in the fingerboard of all three of these that separate them from earlier 400s, done in Italian acrylic. Of course, we have dots on the side as is standard for Taylors. We have white binding along the top and the back, and that's been a part of 400 series guitars for a long time. We have a beautiful shell rosette, and that's a new aspect to these particular guitars as well. Kind of one wide piece of shell bordered with a small black and white line around that. Very attractive rosette. The standard Taylor tortoiseshell pickguard. We have the enclosed chrome Taylor tuners, Taylor branded tuners. And of course the neck dimensions and shape that we're familiar with from Taylor guitars, and there are no surprises there. All these guitars include Taylor's ES2 electronics, and for this particular demo, I'm going to refer to the earlier demos that we have of the 414 CE and the 412 CE that include demos with the pickups. We'll link to that below, so you can check them out there, as those guitars are very similar to the ones that I'm holding here. Of course, all these guitars include Taylor's V-Class bracing, and they all have the slanted back bracing on the guitar. That's another design element that Taylor's Andy Powers came up with on these guitars to sort of further balance the sound, and it's part of the V-Class architecture on these instruments. So a lot of familiar aspects to these guitars, and in the case of the Grand Auditorium that I'm holding here and that I played earlier, and the Grand Concert. They're really kind of refinements of an early design. But as I mentioned earlier, in the case of the Grand Pacific, it's a completely new guitar that is new to the 400 series. So as I mentioned, we have previous demos of the earlier versions of this 412 CE and the 414 CE. So I'm just going to give a quick playing demo of these guitars. I would encourage you to check out those demos if you want to hear the guitars in more detail and also with the built-in electronics. And we're going to do a completely separate demo of the new Grand Pacific in the very near future. Watch for that. But I'm going to give you just a little bit of a playing comparison on all three of these guitars. I'm holding the Grand Concert now, so we'll go from small, medium to large. Here we go, playing a little bit on the Grand Concert size 412 CE. Okay, here we go on the Grand Concert size 414 CE. And finally, on the Grand Pacific size 417E. So those are the new Taylor 400s in sunburst finish, the 417E that I'm holding here, the 414 CE Grand Auditorium, and the 412 CE Grand Concert. Check them out at your Taylor dealers, and come back to Peghead Nation for a more in-depth demo of this slope shoulder dreadnought 417E here in the very near future. Right now, I'll go out with a duet played with Peghead Nation instructor Doug Young, who happened to be in the studio today working on lessons for his alternate tuning fingerstyle guitar course. And we'll play The Water is Wide. And we hope you come back here to Peghead Nation for more of our gear demos. If you're seeing this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel and check us out at pegheadnation.com. My name is Teja Gerken.